A flight attendant helps passengers trash theirs.
It has brought me to tears on so many occasions.
It's a seemingly new chapter in a more than 2-year battle against the COVID-19 pandemic.
I think it's time. I think it's great.
The rules shakeup comes after an abrupt federal ruling Monday, finding the mask mandate on public transportation unlawful. Most major airlines now relaxing the rules. Rideshare giants Uber and Lyft also eliminating the requirement for drivers and customers. Trains and buses, Washington's metro system, and Atlanta's MARTA no longer mandate masking. The move sparking questions and mixed reactions.
I'm not in favor of it. No, I think it is not the time.
We've been waiting for this for 2 years.
Part of me is excited to see a new normal unfold, but also it's still a little bit unnerving.
But what are the medical experts saying?
Just because this ruling was made by a judge doesn't mean that suddenly the science has changed.
Dr. Lena Wen insists that while COVID-19 hospitalizations have gone down, it's still important to mask up under certain conditions.
Whenever they are in crowded indoor settings, that includes on airplanes, on buses, on trains.
In Washington, Isabel Rosales.
Athens dropped their mask mandate at the end of February, but recently the city has continued to see elevated COVID-19 virus levels in wastewater, meaning that COVID cases could rise in the coming days. Congress may take back a big chunk of the COVID relief funds it authorized last year to help small businesses. On the chopping block, $2 billion that haven't yet been dispersed. The funds are part of a larger $10 billion aid package that aim to help business owners for new COVID vaccines, testing, and treatments. The funds were allocated but never spent, mainly left over from aid programs that have already expired. The Biden administration has asked Congress for more funding to continue the fight against COVID. Senate Republicans argue that any new funding must be fully offset by repurposing COVID relief money already passed by Congress. Some states say the cut in federal funding could severely limit the aid they are able to provide their business owners.
The Lawrence County Commission has chosen a location just outside Ironton for a new county jail. The property is located off Adams Street and County Road 24. The commissioners say that the location was chosen because it has the necessary infrastructure and the least invasive spot for local residential neighborhoods. However, it's not a done deal just yet. The plans for a new jail are contingent on if the sales tax issue passes on the primary on May 3rd. Lawrence County Sheriff Jeff Lawless says the current jail doesn't meet the state's standards, and the new jail would have 200 beds, up from the 52 in the existing one.
Good afternoon, happy Tuesday. I'm your lead forecaster, Erin Ashley, and if you look outside your window right now, you can just see a bunch of clouds all over our region right now, and that's actually creating a little chance for some rain showers. As we look at the local radar, you can see just patchy clouds, patchy areas of rain across the majority of our viewing area, especially up towards Marietta and here in Athens as well as the northern parts of our region as well. So if you've seen rain today, make sure that you are taking that accordingly, because again, you may or may not be seeing rain, but it shouldn't last for very long, as today in Athens we're just seeing overcast skies with a small chance of rain. Temperatures currently sitting at 46 degrees, and it is expected to drop below freezing tonight. And so if we look at the weather, the warning advisory map today, we can expect to see that we are under a freeze warning tonight. And I'll talk about it in my full forecast, what this means heading into tomorrow. But for now, I'm going to throw it back to Will.
Thanks, Erin. From the cold state of Ohio to the sunny skies in Florida, Disney's land monopoly may end next year as Florida Governor Ron DeSantis makes his latest move in his feud with the company. In a surprise announcement hours before a special session to finalize congressional maps, DeSantis added the review of independent special districts established before 1968. This includes the Reedy Creek Improvement Act, passed by the legislature in 1967 to help establish Walt Disney World. A bill filed after the announcement would dissolve Disney's special districts on June 1st, 2023. The change would give Disney less autonomy over their land and decisions regarding it. And as of now, they have full control over zoning and permits in their city limits.
And so yes, they will be considering the congressional map, but they also will be considering termination of all special districts that were enacted in Florida prior to 1968, and that includes the Reedy Creek Improvement District.
The company and Governor DeSantis have also come into headlines recently because the company did not speak out against the new, quote, "Don't Say Gay" bill. This Florida legislation inspired a similar bill in Ohio that would ban any curriculum about sexual orientation or gender identity in elementary schools.
A judge has blocked early enforcement of an Ohio abortion restriction that prevented clinics from working with physicians who work with public medical schools in Ohio. Hamilton County Judge Allison Hathaway ruled that the restrictions couldn't be imposed on 2 Southwest Ohio clinics before June 21st, which is 90 days after the bill's effective date. Hathaway temporarily blocked the bill last month. The legislation, which was signed by Governor Mike DeWine back in December, requires doctors to perform life-saving procedures on fetuses in rare cases they survive abortions. The additional licensing requirements needed have been challenged by the ACLU and Planned Parenthood, calling them unnecessary. 2 provinces are under attack in Ukraine as President Biden says he will send more artillery. A racist proposal in Illinois has many outraged over punishment for racial aggressions. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
Rising temperatures are setting in motion Earth's own natural warming mechanisms that then feed upon themselves.
Most people haven't even heard of feedback loops or tipping points.
Climate policy really should be designed to avoid setting off these important feedbacks.
We have the technology and knowledge. What we need is the will.
I'm not worried about the planet, I'm worried about us.
Wednesday at 10 on WOUB.
Overwhelming. It's very overwhelming, but I'm very proud.
On Finding Your Roots, Amy Carlson.
To come here with nothing, it's amazing.
Andre Leon Talley.
Never heard any of this, never saw any of this.
And Erin Burnett.
It's opened up a whole new part of me.
From Ireland to World War I. To the supernatural?
Do you descend from a witch?
I am afraid to guess.
Tuesday at 8 on WOUB.
On Icon. You look at a picture, are you in or are you out?
He opened a gallon tin of paint and hurled it across the room.
If I was 16 years old, I'd have to go see what kind of band that was.
You're like, what's going on here? Both of those cats dying in a 12-month period is really profound impact on the culture.
How could anybody not put David Bowie on the cover in that moment?
Saturday at 9 on WOUB.
The Adirondack Park Agency was a wild idea when it was created 50 years ago.
In the story of land use planning in the United States, the Adirondack Park Agency is truly significant.
But a lot of people who live inside the park still think the agency and its restrictions on private land development are un-American. It all comes down to a basic question. What is wild land worth?
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
Russian forces are ramping up attacks in eastern Ukraine, launching more missiles Tuesday. The latest assault, now dubbed the Battle of Donbas. Chris Wynn breaks down the effort to take over 2 provinces in the area.
In Ukraine, Russian forces are ramping up attacks in Donbas, a sprawling region that blankets much of the eastern part of the country. The battle for control of the territory, which has been the front line of Ukraine's conflict with Russia since 2014, could define Russian President Vladimir Putin's invasion after his forces suffered failures in Kyiv and across much of central and northern Ukraine. As Russian troops advance, thousands of civilians are trying to flee, but unsure of where to go next.
Over the last days, there has been a continuous increase in shelling and attacks.
In the southern city of Mykolaiv, residents describe the ongoing chaos.
This sound just woke me up and I was like paralyzed. And then in 3 seconds, this huge explosion. And you understand that you have no time to run. You just have to live through this.
Ukrainians devastated by the horrors of war at the hands of the Russian military.
I feel only hate. We can't forgive it, maybe for life.
Russia continued its bombardment of cities Monday with at least 4 missile strikes reported in the western city of Lviv, where at least 7 people were killed, according to Ukrainian officials. In Washington, I'm Chris Wynn reporting.
President Biden announced today he will be sending more artillery to Ukraine.
Today marks 27 years since the Oklahoma City bombing. The blast killed 168 people, including 19 children, and injured several hundred more. It happened on April 19, 1995, at the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in downtown Oklahoma City. The 2 men convicted of carrying out the attack were former U.S. Army soldiers associated with an extreme militant movement that rejects the legitimacy of federal government and law enforcement. One was executed by lethal injection in 2001. The other is serving life in prison without parole.
An act of violence which altered the history of this city, this state, and our nation forever.
Survivor Polly Nichols led a 168 seconds of silence in honor of the people who died. Tomorrow marks the 23rd anniversary of the Columbine High School shooting. On April 20th, 1999, Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris entered the school they attended in Littleton, Colorado. Then they began shooting. The 17 and 18-year-old gunmen killed 12 students and 1 teacher. After that, they took their own lives. It was one of the deadliest incidents of school violence in U.S. history, but it was far from the last.
After this weekend, the 2 teenage victims who died in a mass shooting in Pittsburgh on Easter Sunday have been publicly identified. Investigators say multiple shooters opened fire during a large house party at an Airbnb rental with many underage attendees. Authorities say 9 people were shot and 5 others were injured while running away from the gunfire. The Allegheny County Medical Examiner's Office said Tuesday Matthew Steffi Ross and Jaden Brown, both 17 years old, died at the hospital following the shooting. Steffi Ross was a senior at Grace Non-Traditional Christian Academy. In a statement, the school CEO describes Steffi Ross as a kind, respectful, and considerate of others. She said he loved music and had a promising future. As for Brown, he was a student in the Woodland Hills School District. The district's interim superintendent said they are devastated by the loss. A small town Illinois promposal sparks outrage among community members. That story's still ahead.
And when might all of these cold temperatures go away? I'll talk about it in my full forecast, but for now, take a look at stocks of local interest.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow, these family heirlooms are giving us goosebumps.
Every time I look at it, I think of my grandmother.
It makes the hair stand up on your arms because the D-Day invasion at Normandy is one of those moments in world history where the course of the world hangs in the balance.
It's Antiques Roadshow, next time from Grounds for Sculpture in Hamilton, New Jersey.
Monday at 8 on WOUB.
Did Big Oil knowingly spread disinformation?
An epic 3-part series.
They said that climate science was uncertain, that action wasn't required.
Our job was to fight back against the progressive agenda.
We concluded that none of these technologies were going to be competitive against oil.
Big money had infiltrated the halls of Congress.
There's an urgency to the situation that is not being answered.
Premieres Tuesday, April 19th, 10, 9 Central, only on PBS.
On Rise of the Nazis, a struggle for power inside the party.
The most ruthless come to the top.
Goering.
He's going to be Hitler's fixer.
And Himmler.
He proves himself to be a brilliant Nazi.
The SS and stormtroopers round up enemies by the thousands.
It was traumatic.
And a new kind of prison is created to hold them.
He camps in the small town of Dachau.
Rise of the Nazis.
Tuesday at 9 on WOUB.
Overwhelming. It's very overwhelming, but I'm very proud.
On Finding Your Roots, Amy Carlson.
To come here with nothing, it's amazing.
Andre Leon Talley.
Never heard any of this, never saw any of this.
And Erin Burnett.
It's opened up a whole new part of me.
From Ireland to World War I to the supernatural.
Do you descend from a witch?
I am afraid to guess.
Tuesday at 8 on WOUB.
Welcome back. You know, in the weather this week, it's a month into spring, but we have a freeze warning going into tomorrow, and I think I saw temperatures in the 30s in your forecast.
Yeah, I saw a lot of those cold temperatures. I think we're in that second winter right now in Ohio. Do we have any good news looking forward this week?
Well, not tonight, unfortunately. We're actually looking at a freeze warning heading into tonight, and those temperatures are going to be below freezing. We're actually looking at temperatures at 27 degrees is going to be the low for tonight. And we're looking at mostly clear skies, so thankfully we're going to see those clouds begin to start opening up a little bit heading into tomorrow. But again, temperatures are going to be very, very cold tonight, and that's going to be the cause for this freeze warning that you see in this light blue color. For the majority of our viewing area, and other portions are going to see frost advisories out here towards the west, and then also special weather statements that are just going to indicate it's going to be really freaking cold tonight, excuse me. But tomorrow, it's going to warm up a little bit. 62 degrees is going to be the high, partly sunny. So again, those clouds will begin to open up. We might see a little bit of sun tomorrow. And tomorrow's low is sitting at 48 degrees. And that's because of this high pressure system that is going to move over our area heading into tomorrow. And that's going to bring not only dry conditions, but it's going to open up those skies a little bit. So sunny weather, expect that tomorrow. But heading into tomorrow night, you're going to start to see a patch of rain start to approach Ohio here from the west, and that's actually going to push further into our region heading into Thursday. Going to be a chance for rain on Thursday, and it's actually going to cause those temperatures to drop a little bit, but it's not going to be too much because again, we're looking at that short chance of showers, 40% chance on Thursday, and those temperatures are actually looking really warm, and we're going to only see those temperatures increase on Friday. But again, mostly cloudy skies because of that cold front and that low pressure system that is out towards our west currently, and it's going to push into our region starting on Thursday with that chance of showers. But looking ahead to the weekend, there's those warm temperatures, Lexi. We're seeing temperatures of 73 degrees on Friday, mostly cloudy skies, but heading into the weekend, skies will open up, partly sunny skies on Saturday, 83 degrees, almost double what we're looking at tonight, triple what we're looking at tonight actually, but for today, double. And then on Sunday, gonna warm up even a little bit further to 85 degrees. So we're going from winter to summer. That's Ohio weather for you. But looking at the 7-day, expect those temperatures to rise as soon as tomorrow. Actually, it's going to be 62, might I remind you. And then on Thursday, a chance for rain will cool us a little bit, going to kind of stop the warming a little bit, but it's going to continue progressing up to 73 degrees on Friday, mostly cloudy skies. And by this weekend, you're going to see those temperatures approach the low 80s, and then on Sunday, it's going to peak 85 degrees. And we are tracking our next weather maker to arrive as soon as Monday, 60% chance of showers, and it's actually going to keep going on Tuesday, 50% chance of showers again on Tuesday with a high of 69 degrees. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Erin. High school students can get creative when asking someone to be their date for prom. But a recent promposal in Illinois wasn't creative, it was offensive. As Will Jones reports, some students say one promposal went too far.
It's 2022. This needs to stop.
This is the photo of a recent promposal that students at Central High School in Kane County say crossed the line. The sign in the photo reads, "If I was black, I'd be picking cotton, but I'm white, so I'm picking you. Prom?"
I think the students should face some type of repercussions, whether it's suspending them or expelling them, for sure not letting them go to prom.
Senior Kayla Haynes says the photo is being shared on social media, and some students are saying this was just a joke.
I was not surprised, but I was disappointed more of just seeing the kids I grew up with, seeing a different side of them.
There have been reports of similar promposals over the last few years at high schools across the country. School and district officials are aware of this incident. The superintendent saying in a statement, the derogatory racist remarks in the post do not reflect Central 301's values or our standards of appropriate and acceptable student conduct. Actions that go against our values of inclusion and respect have no place in our schools or our school-sponsored activities. Only 2% of students at Central are black, according to the Illinois report card. The school is 62% white, 19% Hispanic, and 13% Asian. Sophomore Ashley Bond says racism has been an ongoing issue at the school, and it needs to finally be addressed.
There's too many situations that happen where kids think that it's okay now, and they know that they'll get away with it.
School officials said they can't discuss any disciplinary action being taken against the student who created the racist poster, and the high school's prom is set for this Friday.
Coming up in sports, Ohio softball is in Kent this weekend to take on the Golden Flashes, while the baseball team looks to end their road trip on the right foot. All this and more coming after the break, and be sure to stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Big Oil knowingly spread disinformation.
An epic three-part series.
They said that climate science was uncertain, that action wasn't required.
Our job was to fight back against the progressive agenda.
We concluded that none of these technologies were going to be competitive against oil.
Big money had infiltrated the halls of Congress.
There's an urgency to the situation that is not being answered.
Premieres Tuesday, April 19th, 10, 9 Central, only on PBS.
Here's what's new this month with Passport.
I'm a really good detective. I always get to the truth. Let's see how this plays out.
Shaped by land, but sustained by their connection to us. These are American horses.
What's happening in the Arctic could really affect everyone.
It is literally sinking.
These and all your favorite shows are available with Passport on the PBS app. Download it today.
The Adirondack Park Agency was a wild idea when it was created 50 years ago.
In the story of land use planning in the United States, the Adirondack Park Agency is truly significant.
But a lot of people who live inside the park still think the agency and its restrictions on private land development are un-American. It all comes down to a basic question. What is wild land worth?
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
Rising temperatures are setting in motion Earth's own natural warming mechanisms that then feed upon themselves.
Most people haven't even heard of feedback loops or tipping points.
Climate policy really should be designed to avoid setting off these important feedbacks.
We have the technology and knowledge. What we need is the will.
I'm not worried about the planet, I'm worried about us.
Wednesday at 10 on WOUB.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. I'm Darius Sethna. The Ohio softball team's road game today has been canceled. According to a release from the Ohio Athletic Department, the match between the Bobcats and Kent State Golden Flashes has been canceled because of poor field and weather conditions in Kent. The two teams are still scheduled to face off in a doubleheader tomorrow, with first pitch set for 1 p.m. in Kent. The Bobcats sit second in the Mack with an 11-6 record against conference opponents, while Kent State is in 9th place. The Golden Flashes come off a 3-game series against Northern Illinois, winning 2 of the 3 matchups. The Ohio baseball team was on the road today. The team took on Morehead State earlier this afternoon and had a terrific 7th inning. The team scored a grand total of 3 runs in the frame. They conceded 9 runs in the 8th inning, though, and the Bobcats eventually fell in this one 13-6. Ohio has won 4 of their last 7 games, but dropped their previous game 3-1 against Eastern Michigan on Sunday. The Bobcats return to Athens Saturday with a doubleheader against Canisius. The Ohio men's golf team is gearing up for the Mack tournament later this month. The Bobcats take to the course in Naperville, Illinois, April 29th through May 1st. Ohio's last bit of the regular season play came to an end yesterday. The Bobcats tied for 4th place in the Wright State Invitational with a team score of 598. The final round of the Invitational was canceled because of weather conditions. The results of the previous 2 rounds were considered the official scores. Zach Mandry and Sam Hogan both finished in the top 15, with Mandry tying for 5th and Hogan tying for 13th. They'll anchor the Bobcats in the Mack tournament. The first round of the NBA playoffs are underway. We have had some surprises so far, including a huge road victory for the Minnesota Timberwolves over Memphis and a Jason Tatum buzzer beater to give Boston a 1-0 lead over the Brooklyn Nets. Another series captivating basketball fans is the Utah Jazz and Dallas Mavericks. The series is knotted up at 1 game apiece despite Dallas being without Luka Doncic. Jalen Brunson scored a career-high 41 points for the Mavericks and hauled in 8 rebounds to help Dallas secure a 110-104 win. The series shifts to Salt Lake City for Game 3 Thursday night. Here's a look at some of the upcoming games we have in the first round. Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks are on the docket tonight. They look to bounce back in Miami after suffering a 24-point trouncing in Game 1. The Minnesota Timberwolves look to head back to the Twin Cities with a 2-0 series lead over the Memphis Grizzlies. And the final game for tonight is in Phoenix, as the defending Western Conference champion Suns look to get a pair of wins against the New Orleans Pelicans. The Suns took Game 1 on Sunday. The Boston Celtics and Brooklyn Nets battle it out once more at the TD Garden tomorrow. Kevin Durant looks to regain momentum after a rough performance Sunday. Game 2 between the Bulls and Bucks from Milwaukee is also tomorrow, with tip-off at 9:30 p.m. I'm Dariah Sethna, and that's it for sports. Back to you, Lexi.
Like all new moms, she's probably sleep deprived. But this mama orangutan seems to be adjusting to motherhood quite well. Kitra gave birth to her first baby on April 13th at the Oregon Zoo. More reason to celebrate. The 20-year-old Bornene orangutan is part of a critically endangered species. The zoo says the baby appears to be strong and healthy, and that Kitra is taking good care of it. They say they are keeping mom and her newborn in a private maternity den, giving them as much quiet time as possible to bond.
Let's look at your weather tonight. It's going to be 27 degrees. It's going to make for a very frosty start to tomorrow. We're actually under that freeze warning. And so we're going to start to see that chance for frost appear overnight, early in the morning because of those freezing temperatures. And looking at the 7-day outlook, expect those temperatures to just begin to climb up and up, reaching its peak on Sunday. 85 degrees with partly sunny skies, where you're looking at a beautiful weekend with a chance for rain starting to appear early next week. But again, you're going to want to go ahead and get outside this weekend because it's going to feel like summer.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Lexi Lepoff.
For Aaron Ashley and Dariah Sethna, I'm Will Price. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a happy Tuesday.
Support comes from Visit Athens County. More information can be found at AthensOhio.com. Athens, it's more than a place. Support comes from the Center for Campus and Community Engagement at Ohio University.